14 WILI and 95.3 FM presents Hometown Threads, a closer look at our community and the people that make it go. Every week, you'll hear uplifting stories from our local businesses and our neighbors. Now, here's our host for Hometown Threads, Keith C. Rice.
Welcome into, episode 66 of Hometown Threads on, you dropped something, on 14 WILI 95.3 FM, Willimantic Today Facebook, the WILI Radio YouTube channel, Spectrum 192. Yes, it's Hometown Threads, comes your way every Tuesday from 5:05 to 5:30 on 14 WILI 95.3 FM. A big thanks to our sponsor, Liberty Bank. Be community kind with 3 great local locations, of course, across the street from the radio station, 679 Main Street, Willimantic. West Main Street, Willimantic, managed by my lovely wife, Marianne. That is the one in Gateway Commons. And then Route 195 in Mansfield, Liberty Bank. Be community kind. J. Matt Rupar, if you'd be so kind, say hello to the fine folks.
Hello.
Here we go, episode 66 of Hometown Threads, and it's a pleasure to bring in, let's see, should I call you Doug Fleming, or DP Fleming, or Mr. Fleming, or Author Fleming? What should we call you? And we got your lovely wife, Terry, over here taking pictures. That's why I keep looking over here.
You can call me all of the above without taking a breath.
Oh, it's great to have you in here. Local author, I'll call you Doug Fleming, but your book, your book name, right? Is that what they call an author name? Author.
D. Paul Fleming.
Right. It's like in radio, we have aliases. Like for years in other markets, I went by Brian Jordan. Well, I didn't know, I guess authors could change their, well, not really change their name, but change it up. D. Paul Fleming, local author. You have a new book that came out May 15th. And what's the name of the new book? First of all, welcome in.
Thank you.
And the name of the new book?
A Date with Suicide.
Okay. And the book that came out, the first book you had, 2,442 Steps to Crazy?
Yes, sir.
And that came out when?
Came out January 2023.
You were so friendly with the microphone off the air, now you're getting a little shy.
January 2023.
All right, so, and then you already have a second book pretty close together, 2023, 2024, so you've been busy, local author D. Paul Fleming.
It's that Wyndham High School education, baby.
That's right.
Can't beat it.
Homegrown, right here, homegrown. Actually, the name of the new show from J. Matt Rupar. Sorry, just thought of that. Anyway, so tell us about, you first of all, as I do with all my guests, top of the show, growing up here in romantic Willimantic.
I was here before it was romantic Willimantic.
You're born and raised, right?
So I was actually born in Hartford, right. And we moved from there to Scotland, and then eventually landed in Willimantic up on Mansfield Ave. This book here takes you for a walk through my life from the time we left Hartford until my sophomore year in high school, Wyndham High School.
So it takes you from Hartford right into your years at Wyndham High. And where can they get 2,442 Steps to Crazy? Amazon, obviously, right?
Yeah, the simplest path is to Amazon.com, D. Paul Fleming, 2,442 Steps to Crazy, or same author name, D. Paul Fleming, A Date with Suicide, which goes after the heart of veterans and the suicide rate that's plaguing our community.
That's something near and dear to your heart. And first of all, congratulations on both books. Okay, tell us about your early days in Willimantic, and then we will get into the whole veteran suicide awareness thing. As you said, that's something you really want to talk about. But tell us about your early days in Willimantic, growing up around here.
Well, first of all, I don't know if you can find a better place in Americana than Willimantic. I mean, this place kind of sticks to you in a very good way. But, hanging around here with Rich Anthony and his clothing store,
Early's,
Jim Nassif, and I graduated with the owner of Nassif's Sports, his son Jimmy Nassif. Played football with him, and I remember when WILI 1400. By the way, I think you guys should have a contest to see which guest speaker can use your promos the best. Only on 1400 WILI Willimantic.
Why are you writing books? You should be on the radio. Actually,
Is that a job offer?
You're right. It's 1400 and 95.3 FM. So 95.3 was born in 2017 to give us a stronger signal. But Well, you got the radio thing down. It seems like you got the writing thing down too. So your years through Wyndham High School, tell us a little about that. What was it like? Did you have, did you like going to Wyndham High? Tell us about some of maybe the crowd you hung out with back then.
So
Before you entered the military, I'm assuming you entered the military right out of high school, right?
Well, I was still in the military. I mean, I was still in high school when I joined the military. There was a gentleman up on an elevated bench with a black robe who was encouraging me to show up with a set of papers. Okay, so I took his encouragement and went ahead and enlisted about 6-7 months before graduation.
So that's a day you'll never forget, right? That was right before graduation.
That was six or 7 months before graduation, and back then, you had to have a high school diploma to go in the military.
Wow. Yeah.
So the pressure shifted for me to now finish high school, because honestly, if it wasn't a requirement, I would have just dropped out of school and went right into the military. But that requirement kept me in high school, and I'm proud to say that I graduated 296 out of a class of 313.
Good
so
for you.
I'm at the top of the bottom of my graduating class.
All right, so you graduate. Now it's time for the military. You're leaving Willimantic. Where did you go? Willimantic to where?
Yeah, so MEPS out of Springfield, Mass. First plane ride, went all the way to San Diego. Spent roughly 3 months in boot camp.
It's a culture shock.
Right?
Did
very well.
Eastern Connecticut to San Diego. Okay.
Right? And I'm telling you, the East Coast girls are so much better than the West Coast girls.
Really?
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes.
California girls?
Yes, it's a whole different world. All right, it's a whole different world.
So it all started in San Diego, Southern California, and then you were in the Navy, obviously, right?
It was.
Okay.
It was. Both my grandfathers served in World War II. One was a submarine sailor, and the other landed on the beach of Normandy. In the book, A Date with Suicide, I talk about my grandfather who landed on the beach of Normandy, who lived in Willimantic the last 10 or 20 years of his life. But my other grandfather, who was a Native American, joined the submarine force when he jumped reservation in the Indian boarding schools. So I decided to follow in his footsteps, and went to some advanced schools, some more training, and then got assigned to the USS Dallas SSN 700 right in Groton, Connecticut. Served on that boat for 3 years, 2 months.
So when did you come to Groton again? That was...
And so I landed in Groton probably early 1984.
Okay.
And went to sub school, and then some other battery charging schools and some other pre-deployed to the fleet. And then I flew out of New York and landed in a bunch of countries, Italy, Africa, and so on, and ended up meeting the boat in a dot of a place called Diego Garcia in the middle of the in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
So how many total years again in the Navy, in the military?
So I did 6, but I got hurt pretty bad a couple of times, and they sent me to VA at the end of my enlistment, and then they retired me on injuries sometime after that.
So what exactly happened?
It's a secret.
Oh, is this part of the book? We're not, I mean, are you, if you don't want to talk about it, I totally understand.
No, I'm fine with it. But if you saw the movie Hunt for Red October, okay, Tom Clancy wrote the book about the USS Dallas, and the crazy part is I read that book while I was on the USS Dallas.
Really?
Okay, and the irony is, like, the helicopter transfers, I was doing those things, and personnel transfers is back when when our cryptography was sold by the Walker family. They had to, instead of sending messages over the airwaves, they would put them in a briefcase, and I had to be the guy when the boat surfaced. We'd go up and get these messages and transfer people. And long story short, on one of those endeavors, I got caught and sucked down between the boat and the surface ship, and I was crushed and rolled and spit around. And the Navy tried to kill me, and the baby Jesus had something else to say.
Wow. So, oh my goodness, and this is like this is the big accident that happened 6 years in.
Yeah, that's one of them. That wasn't that.
How did you
happened-
survive that? I mean, what happened?
Yeah. Do you guys have a segment on spirituality? Because I'm telling you, it was the hand of God reached down, wrapped himself around me, and protected me. Because when you watch what happened, it is not possible. I shouldn't have survived.
Who found you? How did you? I mean, it's just, again, you'll probably get a longer version when you're on Wayne's show. I'm sorry, we only have a 25-minute window. But how did you? How did you? I mean, did somebody save you, or did you? What happened?
Yeah.
Besides the baby Jesus, or the spirit.
So you're tethered. You're in a harness. Okay, and you're kind of climbing down the outside of a round submarine. Okay, in a surface ship, you're trying to do these personnel transfers and documents transfers. Okay, well, a wave came up, wiped me out from behind, sucked me down between the two boats. The last thing I remember was looking up and watching myself dropping down below the waves. Okay, and then this ungodly crunch, and that's it. Okay, now the rest of the story is going to be written in book 3 of the Crazy series. Okay, but I do touch on it in the Date with Suicide and then the following
Okay, so
books
we'll
to
just
those.
leave it at that.
Right.
Okay.
So what I don't there's nothing more that I remember for the next 30 something hours. Okay, I remember waking up in my rack, okay, and then a couple of guys running. All right, because they thought I'm not quite sure how I survived. But as soon as I woke up, everybody kind of came in, the medic was right behind them, and we were in a place and a time where if you died, stuff you in the freezer. That's it. Okay.
Did you see the white light?
The mission was more important.
Did you see the white light, as they say, quote unquote?
So the truth is, I didn't see the white light, but I watched myself being rescued while I floated 30, 40 feet above the submarine. I could, as I'm sitting here looking at you guys, it was a panoramic view, watching them, muscling me. Imagine I was like 220. No, I think it was 200 pounds then. Soaking wet, fully clothed, and pulling that wet, waterlogged body up out of the water. 3 guys have finally got me out, and then
That is unbelievable.
took me below.
More of a reason to buy these books. Again, A Date with Suicide, out just recently, May 15th. And the first book, which came out in 2023, 2,442 Steps to Crazy, the beginning. That came out. There's the first book, and A Date with Suicide, out May 15th. So tell us what military is behind you. A lot of rough years. That's you have. What basically led you into writing, and what made you want to become an author and write these books?
Yeah. That's a question that I answer by saying 2 parts. One is I have a very unique awareness and perspective on veterans issues and the military. And again, for 30, 40 years, I was suicidal, right? Just like you're seeing or hearing about any of these other veterans that commit suicide. And right now, we're dealing with no less than 50 veterans a day committing suicide. That's a hard, heavy number every day, right? For decades, I was in the same fight with myself, all right, where suicide was a constant presence in my life. And at a point in time, I finally said, enough. I've either got to find peace or I can't do this anymore. The pain was just too much.
PTSD is a real thing. It really is.
Yes, sir. And in that, it was 2018 is when I finally said, I can't do this anymore. I've either got to, finish the job, kill myself, or I've got to find peace. And the word peace is what stuck out. And, that's where it kind of started transitioning for me and eventually led to a calling to sit down and tell my story.
God gave you a pen. Well, so start writing.
We use computers. And keyboards
You know
now,
what I
Keith.
meant.
Okay.
You know what I meant.
All right.
That is
it's a modern day now, Keith.
But-
keyboards and computers, baby.
You knew what I meant. Obviously, it's like write, put pen to paper.
I have a quill and an ink well on my desk.
Doug's a comedian on the side too. No, but this is great. How God spoke to you. He wanted you to put these books together. And look, how successful was that first one? Go ahead, share. How many books did you? How many did you sell? You did pretty well, didn't you?
Yeah. So I will try to equate the success with the mission statement. My mission statement is to tell the stories, as painful as they are, to help others. When
Now,
this book came-
this has helped you too, hasn't it?
Yes.
Like you could see
Yes,
it.
it's incredibly painful, but it goes to the heart of the mission behind A Date with Suicide. And that is to get my fellow veterans to talk about trauma. Because until I started talking about it, I was in that constant battle with a date with suicide. I had done all the other pieces.
And there's the
except-
connection. Yep.
Except schedule that date. That's what I was down to. Okay, to finish how the book did, a guy I was in the military with reached out, said, "I want to talk," and I learned my lesson. Okay, and it's in the book, A Date with Suicide. Why you listen and meet with a veteran when when he says he needs to talk. I went over to Brandy Brew.
Willie Brew.
Willie Brew. Okay, sat down, had their wings. Best wings on the planet.
Dave
over
Wollner
there,
was
okay?
our second ever guest on
Well,
Hometown
I
Threads.
watched the best beer, okay, and best wings on the planet. So go to Dave's restaurant. So I met him there.
You met him there. Okay.
I pick up a wing. He's drinking a beer. I'm having a Hosmer Mountain Soda. Okay.
Another
And,
local flavor.
gotta
Look at you.
promote the locals, man. You gotta promote them, right?
Yeah, we had Hosmer on here too. Bill Podvin.
So as I pick up a wing and go to chew on it, he looks at me and he says, "I read your book." I said, "Thank you." He says, "I gotta tell you, man, it hit me hard. I'm sorry for what happened to you." I'm like, yeah, thank you. But I gotta tell you, I was all set to kill myself until I read your book.
How about that? How about that? Wow.
Right.
You are changing. It's got to make you feel so good. Not only have you helped yourself, but right there, that story you just told about that gentleman you helped at Willie Brew, phenomenal. And I'm getting look at that. I'm getting goosebumps. You got that, Terry? I'm getting goosebumps. I'm so look. It's also I'm getting a little emotional. I mean, the fact that that you're talking about it. How you said this is around 2018, where
So in 2018, I made the decision to either finish and kill myself or find peace. Okay, peace won, and I that was my first start on the path to recovery, to healing, and I didn't even know what the hell healing was. All right.
But did you think, okay, talking about it's easier said than done. Okay, I'm going to try and talk about it, but that had to be. I mean, it obviously helps, but talking about it, you think that would? Did you ever question yourself? Was this going to solve the issue? You know?
Yeah, so I question myself beyond belief, and anybody that suffers from any form or version of PTSD knows how difficult it is to have confidence in yourself. And people say to me, it's like, well, you have so much confidence just by looking at you.
You do.
It's like, yeah, but internally, we suffer in a way that is next to impossible to describe. So I didn't have that confidence in my ability to tell the story, and more importantly, I didn't want to. I didn't want to expose myself in my darkest secrets.
So when you sat down and said, okay, I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to write about it, how did you know where to begin?
I didn't. I was so lost. I wrote and rewrote the first book no less than 4 times. I can't tell you how many times I threw it out and started over. And finally, by the grace of God and my wife, she said, "Doug, it's fine. Trust your instincts and just turn the book over to editors." Okay? And I did, and again, I'm very critical of myself, but others have made some very impressive comments. The reviews on the book are amazing.
I'd like you to maybe, if you can, do you have any reviews? First of all, Doug Fleming, D. Paul Fleming is with us. Doug Fleming's his name, D. Paul Fleming, author name. Author of 2,442 Steps to Crazy, and then the next book, which just came out May 15th.
A Date with Suicide.
Okay, you can look for both those books. Tremendous job. What a story. And he's our guest here on episode 66 of Hometown Threads on WILI.
Wait a minute. Episode 66?
Yes.
That's the devil's number, baby. We got to change this.
Oh, boy.
I want to be 88.
Or 77.
There you go, 77.
It's brought to you by Liberty Bank B Community Kind. So yeah, you want to read some of those reviews, or do you have them with you, or just it was a very successful first book. I have my copy.
So this is what a guest look like when the host puts you on the spot.
Oh,
and
if you
you're
don't
not
have them,
prepared.
don't worry about
Okay?
it.
and you see this look? I didn't bring any, but there's like 100 of them online if you go to...
We'll edit this part.
No, please. Look at this. Oh, my God. Okay. In all seriousness, I have to figure out how to thread the needle between talking about veteran suicide and God and keeping it light, because again, you have to have both, and that's the thing that I learned that helped me get back to the core, to the soul of what I am. And at my heart, I'm a pretty funny guy. I'm a happy guy, but the mentality and the atmosphere that I created over decades of suffering from severe PTSD and mental health issues create a persona of anger and hatred and mad. And I'm not saying I wasn't, but in healing, I'm finding my way back to the core of who I am. And I'm a funny guy.
You really are, and I got to be honest, and big thanks to Terry, your wife, who's here as well. She's taking pictures and all that. This is the first time Doug and I have met face to face. I interviewed him on our sister station, Norwich, which we're going to do it again soon on WICH. I know you'll probably be on Wayne's show soon, but you do come across very confident, and
Smoking.
but I got to ask you, we have a couple minutes left. I told you it goes by fast. Do you ever have any, well, of course, I don't know if doubt's the right word, but do you ever, does doubt ever creep into your mind? Like, are you completely healed, I guess is what I'm trying to ask you.
No. And to be brutally honest, in the last 10 days or so, some personal events have happened that just ripped my heart apart. And instantly, I'm right back at that debate of suicide. Okay.
Really? So it still happens. So what do you do in that case?
Well, for me, the first thing I learned to do was to breathe and let go and say, release, release, release. Okay, so when I start feeling that bombardment of anger or negative coming at me, I now recognize it as incoming and counter it. And that's get some quiet time with myself, process it, and say, listen, I can only do what I can do. Right? And killing myself isn't the answer. And I go back to, many conversations now, but like the one I shared with you, when a fellow vet came up and said, I didn't kill myself because of your book.
And yes, you obviously got to think of that as well. That conversation, you totally have to replay that in your head to help you. And that's just one of the things that can help you get back to where you were. Because, it's just, the books, obviously, you got to look at what you've accomplished. So you take a step back, you breathe. You have Terry, who's probably a tremendous rock over here.
Smoking.
And
she's one hot lady.
Now, in the last minute or so here, Matt, I'm sorry, we might run a little over. Really, I want you to hammer it home because, and we'll of course, we'll hit on the books at the end too. But two quick things. Shout out to anyone or give love to anyone who has helped you along this journey. I know there's probably been a lot of people. And then I want you to hammer home the whole veterans suicide awareness thing. So go ahead. I don't know which one you want to go for.
So the biggest shout out I can give now or forever in my life is to my wife, Teresa. Okay? She has been my rock and my partner.
Come over here for a second. Come on.
For my entire adult life. All right?
Here she is. Oh, you all right?
We told you we're going to make you
She is.
famous. Okay? She is, without question, a critical part of why I'm still alive and why I'm healing. Thank you, Terry. I love you, baby.
I love you too.
And tell us about your quick message about, I know you mentioned earlier too, the whole veteran suicide awareness thing and how I know it's near and dear to your heart. And the books pretty much, explain that, but go ahead.
Thanks, Keith. Here's what I'm asking. I'm asking for all civilians, especially the family members of veterans. We need your help. 50 veterans a day commit suicide. Now that statistic could be 100 a day. It could be more. I wrote an article that's coming out that uses a busload of veterans, 50 a day, that just keep dying every day and nobody's listening. But if 50 civilians get killed in a bus crash on a highway, the whole world stops. And if it happens 2 days in a row, congressional hearings and everything, billions of dollars in research, and yet 50 veterans a day continue to commit suicide every single day, yesterday, today, tomorrow. We need to destigmatize the issues around mental health. We now are at a point in our country where we say thank you to our veterans. Thank you for your service. We need the next phrase to follow, thank you for your service. Now, I'm working on what that phrase is, but we need you to help us. For me in the book, I talk about who is your Randy. Randy was the first fellow veteran that committed suicide. It's an incredible story, but it's an incredibly tearful story of how that all unfolded. So who's your first Randy? And know this, if you don't know a veteran who has committed suicide, you will. It's only a matter of time. So what I'm asking you is to help us help ourselves.
Keep up the great work. It was finally a pleasure to meet you face to face. 2,442 Steps to Crazy. The first book came out in 2023. A Date with Suicide. The latest book just came out May 15th. Get them on Amazon or reach out to you, right? How can they find you on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook.
D. Paul Fleming?
D. Paul Fleming on Facebook. I'm on some of the other sites, but if you want to reach out to me directly, dpaulfleming.com. You can send me an email. And if any veteran out there or a family member needs someone, okay, to talk to, I've stolen the phrase from Dr. Fraser Crane. I'm listening.
If I had a bad day at work, can I call you anyway?
No. No, you can't.
Thank you, Doug.
No, you
thank you, Teresa. Terry, go by Teresa.
Either
okay. You're his rock.
Yes.
So keep up the great work, both of you. J. Matt Rupar, thank you. Thank you to Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind. Episode 66 in the books. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. In the words of the great Roddy McCumber, bye for now, folks. Bye for now.
And that concludes another edition of Hometown Threads. Got a story for Keith? Reach out to him on Facebook by searching Keith C. Rice or email him at krice@hallradio.net. Don't forget to tune in next week on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM, as well as the Willimantic Today page on Facebook.